Oh man, this is like really difficult to film, but I kind of need to get it out there and maybe in case it's gonna help someone. But anyway, so I've been hospitalized last week from Tuesday night to Saturday afternoon, and I've never been hospitalized in my life. So, it was very, I guess, surprising that it happened. And it wasn't expected at all. So I don't think I've shared this. I've recorded a couple things, but anyways, I've been dealing with an abscess and it's kind of near the rectum. I first got it about 2.5 years ago maybe. And then, I didn't have it for a long time, got it addressed, cut and drained, and then for the last 6 months, well, I guess it's 8 now because it's March, but pretty much between August and January, I had in the same location, the abscess 3 times. And so I was referred to a general surgeon, and based on the frequency, it was decided I'm going to get something called a fistulotomy because they said I probably have a fistula, which is like a tunnel, a tract that can occur between an abscess and your rectum. And they're like, oh, this is common, it happens all the time, we do a lot of these. I looked online, it's not common, this case is rare. But anyways, I trusted the doctor, and I was really concerned because it happens so often, right? Like, it almost ruined my trip to Australia. I was taking antibiotics because of that. I actually got the abscess, had to get it drained in Australia, cut and drained. I mean, it's, the abscess is a pain. So anyways, I decided to go ahead with the surgery. It made sense to me. I did ask about imaging. I was like, how do you know where this tunnel is located? Should we get imaging? And the doctor was like, oh, the imaging doesn't really show results. But I mean, he's a doctor, so I trusted him, So anyway, February 25th was my scheduled surgery. I went in to go get it. I came out. I was on general anesthesia. I actually thought I got something done because I was like so numb. I was in a location that's really hard to see. Like I really can't see what's going on unless I use a mirror. But anyways, come to find out that night, I realized, hey, there's no puncture wound. Like the gauze that I had in that location, no blood. Even when I get my abscess drained, even if it's like the smallest cut, I have to routinely switch out the gauze like over the course of like 3 days, but there was nothing. So I was like, man, what the heck happened? But instead, like that area was just so swollen, like the size of my palm. And I was like, wow, it's super swollen, it's hard, and it's super numb. It's numb, I can't feel anything. And this is only one side of this location, general area, pretty much where the genitals are. Sorry, TMI. So already the day 1, the 25th, I have this like giant inflammation. I found out the surgery couldn't really happen because the doctor probed for the location, and essentially like you don't want to create a new tunnel. So if you can't find it, then you're not gonna like shove the instrument in to force a new tunnel. You're just gonna kind of poke around to find this tunnel, because essentially you're gonna find this tunnel and then cut it open and then clean it out. But couldn't find a tunnel, so I didn't know that. Maybe I was told, but I was under general anesthesia. I don't even remember talking to anyone except for the discharge nurse. But anyway, so long story short, found out no surgery, but I have this like immense swelling. It's to the point it's alarming. It's like my skin is so tight in that area, like unbelievably thick and tight. And then it's numb, and I was told I was gonna get local anesthesia to last for 6 to 8 hours, but this thing is even now still numb, and this is March 16. February 25th, March 16, the area is still, the hard area is numb, and that's ridiculous. Anyway, so the numbness was my concern, and then just how swollen it was. I'm like, how did this happen? Like all he did was probe the area, and there also was a big spot of blue spot, And I guess like he injected some dye, methyl blue mixed with hydrogen peroxide. I didn't even know dye was gonna get injected into me, but anyways, I think that really irritated my skin. But I had like this hard mass. It was like pushing up against my rectum. Like I just felt so uncomfortable. Like, and then it just didn't feel right to me. I called the nurse the next day, and they're like, "Oh, keep monitoring it. It should be okay. Let us know if it gets worse." What does that even mean, right? And then I actually like messaged the doctor. I have Kaiser's. I emailed him, and he's like, "Oh, continue monitoring it." And I'm like, "Dude, okay, fine. I'll monitor it." By Wednesday, so my surgery was a Monday. By Wednesday, it just wasn't sitting well right with me. I was like, something it's just bothering me. So I went to urgent care. Doctor took a look at it, felt it, and she was like, "You have cellulitis." Cellulitis is a skin infection. I have a freaking skin infection. So I went in for the surgery, didn't come out with the surgery. Instead, I have a skin infection. And I'm just like flabbergasted. I'm like, what the heck? How did I come out with a skin infection? So I was given antibiotics. I was taking it. And in the meantime, I emailed the doctor and I was like, "Hey, I got this checked and I'm told now it's cellulitis. I have skin infection." And I was like, and I got antibiotics. The doctor wanted me to come in like Friday, but I couldn't, so I scheduled it for Monday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days, right? And I was taking these antibiotics, which is doxycycline, which I hate. Like gives me the biggest nausea ever. Like you're supposed to take on an empty stomach. Every time I try to do that, it makes me throw up. Like it really upsets my stomach. I mean, you are literally incapable of doing something for 1 hour after you take it because it just really upsets you. I've been trying to take like maybe 1 or 2 bites of bread, but you can't even take it with like milk because the calcium binds to it and it becomes ineffective. Like it just sucks, right? But I was doing my due diligence trying to take this on as empty of a stomach as possible so that this thing could address the bacteria. Well, I went to go visit the doctor on Monday and he checked the area and he was like, "Well, continue taking your antibiotics and monitor it for a couple more days." And I'm like, okay, well, the reason I went was because the antibiotics really weren't doing anything. Like the redness actually was spreading and I'm like, this antibiotics should not be doing this. If you look up cellulitis, it says in 3 days you should be feeling better. If you don't, then contact your doctor. I saw the doctor on day 5. It's not better, but I'm told to continue monitoring it. I'm just like kind of frustrated because it's like obvious that it's not working, but fine, I'll monitor it. And then I went back to work. I saw him in the after noontime. I went back to work, and then when I sat down, I was like, wow, my skin is actually hurting. It wasn't hurting before. Like I said, it was numb in that area and maybe some throbbing pain, but then it wasn't hurting. But my skin actually hurts. I was like, what the heck? This is like a new symptom. And then that evening, I started feeling chills. I looked at the area and I was like, wow. I've been taking pictures and, I didn't take pictures on like the day of the surgery or the day after, but pretty much on, the Wednesday, the day I started taking antibiotics. Over the weekend, I was celebrating my nephew's birthday, so I couldn't really do anything, but pretty much the red was in an area that was close to the genitals, and then by Monday evening, you could tell that the redness spread. And when I consulted another friend who's a surgeon just on infections, and he says monitor the redness. Like he told me this inflammation might stay for a long time. The hard part might stay for a long time, but monitor the redness. That's what's important in an infection. And so I was like, I messaged the doctor and I was like, hey, my skin is actually starting to hurt and this redness is spreading. It's growing. But the message back was, keep on monitoring it. Fine. Frustrated, but whatever. Let me see if another day or 2 is going to help me. Tuesday, I went to work and then I had like an all-day meeting thing that I went to. But Tuesday, dude, the symptoms started hitting me. I was getting fever all day. I had chills. I had trouble breathing. Like, if I was just sitting down, it's fine. But if I like walked kind of briskly, I had the hardest time breathing. Never felt that before. I had a headache all day, and I was hydrated. I drank so much water, probably like 10 glasses of water that day. I was so hydrated, and maybe that's like kind of what helped me from getting super bad, I guess. But I did what I could. And I was continuing to take my antibiotics, no alcohol. I'm like, trying to be super good about this whole thing because I want this thing gone. But no, I have all these symptoms. And then I was in downtown and I just had dinner with my friend, and I just happened to look at the area at my friend's house, and the freaking redness spread like threefold. So the original area was probably like the size of my palm. The original as in like when I started taking antibiotics. And then like the additional area by Tuesday night, literally this much more. It's my entire butt. I'm so pissed at this point, and I'm like freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, I knew this was gonna happen. This is why I was trying to alert the doctor to avoid this type of spread of infection. It's like 7 p.m. by that time, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go to urgent care. I'm not gonna wait overnight because this already grew like so much in one day. And I'm already feeling horrible. So I drove myself to urgent care, got there 8 p.m., checked in. I asked for the wait. They said 45 minutes. And I'm like, okay, they close at 9 o'clock, so I should be fine. Almost 2 hours before I'm seen by a doctor. And when she sees me, she goes, I don't know what we could do. We're closed. What the heck? How could you say that? And at this point, I'm like really out of it. Like, I know urgent care is an emergency room is an option, but at that time I couldn't even think clearly. I was just so pissed. I was like kind of going off on her, like saying, this got really bad today. I am not waiting another 12 hours overnight because it's gonna get worse. And then she's like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, you're the freaking doctor. What do you mean? I don't know what you need to do. Maybe change antibiotics, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Like, I didn't get trained for it. And she's like, oh, you had surgery. And I'm like, dude, I didn't have surgery. Like, nothing got cut open. But I guess medical term, if you even go in the surgery room, get local anesthesia, come out, it's considered surgery. So she felt uncomfortable about this and sent me to the ER, talk to the surgeon there on duty. I had to wait to walk over to the ER. But, I paid my copay and everything. Didn't even get helped. I'm like just so annoyed by this whole process, Anyways, went to the ER, got checked up right away, etc. They stuck IV in me. They took a lot of blood, did a CT scan. Surgeon talked to me. And then, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I just thought, oh, maybe once I get these fluid IVs, I'll be better and I'll be able to go home. But they wanted me to stay overnight, and they wanted the surgeons to take a look at the area. So I was like, okay, fine. I've never been there before, hospitalized before. So, I had to change the gown, put me in a bed, took me to the post-surgery department where I was just like resting in a room. I was in a room by myself. My blood tests showed that I was low in some sort of stuff. So they were like pumping all these things into me on top of antibiotics. So I got 3 types of antibiotics in. They gave me potassium, which sucks. Oh my gosh, potassium burns. Pain-wise, that was like almost like the most painful thing I went through. It really burns, and you have to get it for like an hour. The nurse says usually people get 4 bags, and I only got 1, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, even that 1 bag was so torturous. So anyways, make sure your potassium levels are good. And that's what I'm telling everyone. That thing was really horrible. And then, anyways, nurse was in and out, giving me all this stuff. I barely slept that night, probably like 2 hours at the most. And everyone is super nice, like everyone was like really attentive and things like that in the ER and the post-surgery department. Anyways, next day, Wednesday, and this was a week ago, so Wednesday, March 6th, was 10 days ago actually, exactly 10 days ago. Sorry, like a lot of people check up on me, and the doctor comes in, the surgeon comes in with two of his colleagues. They look at the area, and they're like, well, two options. Only two options. One is wait, which all of them recommended that I don't wait because they said there probably is going to be no change. The other option is to get surgery, and surgery as an incision and drainage. And an incision is not just a cut this time. They want a piece of my skin removed so that area will start draining, and they think, that will actually help the area and allow the impurities and stuff to start draining out because they think everything's like trapped in there. Makes sense in my head. By this time, like, I didn't even trust my surgeon just because of what happened the first time. And like, I just felt like this is all because of that first surgery. I got cellulitis. I'm in this position. I didn't even get the care I should have gotten. And now I'm in a point where it's like really bad. I was just so frustrated. But I decided to go with the surgery because it made sense to me. I'm trying to like keep calm, keep my composure, trying to make sense of this whole thing and get through it. But inside I'm like so frustrated. Like there's times I just like scream just in my car and stuff because I'm so mad. But anyways, I decided to go to this surgery. I don't eat all day or drink any water because you're not supposed to before surgery. Doctor is able to find room in his schedule, and I'm able to go in for 2 o'clock surgery. I get the whole spiel from the anesthesiologist. This time I'm gonna go under general anesthesia, not only sedation. Like they're just gonna take me out just because they can't put local anesthesia in that location because the infection is so bad. I don't even know if I'm gonna insert how bad the infection looked, but it was just like bloated, red. Almost like a balloon is stuck down there and you're like ready to pop, I don't know how else to describe it. It's horrible. I just don't wish this upon anyone. But I was told it was a quarter size. Now that I look at it, it's greater than a quarter size, but pretty much like the blue area was removed. I thought they went pretty deep, but I don't know. This wound is just hard for me to look at because I don't like that kind of stuff. Like blood, tissue, it just like makes me so nauseated. Like every time I look at it, I want to like pass out, and then I'm just so frustrated because, anyways, let me move on. So I got the surgery done. I was given some juice and crackers. Doctor said, now we'll just wait and see what it looks like. They're continuing to pump all this stuff into me through an IV. Still the same 3 antibiotics. I received a lot of saline on the first day, but after that it was just a regular IV, whatever mix that they have. So that's what I was constantly getting. But anyways, so the wound, it was like draining. I had to do like sitz baths, and when you have an IV stuck in you, it's really hard to do anything. This line is constantly there, and I didn't realize how inconvenient it is. And everyone's telling me I have like good veins, whatever, for IV. And guess what? Still got blocked at some point, and I had to change IV locations. I was getting blood thinning shots. Like you could still see the bruise on my last one, or one of my last shots. I was getting that twice a day, every 12 hours. I was getting blood drawn every morning. And then the pharmacy took blood out too because they wanted to see if they had to like change the dosage of some of my antibiotics. Anyways, from the surgery, the sample of the exact bacteria that caused it was sent down, but that apparently takes 3 days. So my surgery was on a Wednesday. By Friday, everything came back to normal. Like my fever was actually gone a lot earlier, like maybe Thursday. My white blood cell counts even on Thursday was high. I think on Friday and Saturday it was good. And my blood pressure came down after the surgery. But regardless, I have to do this wound maintenance. I just had a checkup with the surgeon yesterday, and it was really discouraging because he told me that the size of the wound hasn't gotten any smaller. I'm like, it's been 10 days. And so then I'm like, oh my God, how long is this gonna stay open? And I'm Googling wound maintenance. This is a big wound, you know, it's big. I'm like afraid of keeping it clean. I mean, I'm doing my best to keep it clean. Every time I use the bathroom, I make sure I like wash off. I'm doing the sitz baths. Now I have to like keep the gauze wet because the wound looks dry, and I did read that dry wounds heal slower. I'm trying to eat anti-inflammation, like foods that are good for inflammation, like ginger, I think green tea, and then like stuff to help heal wounds, like walnuts, like nuts, nuts, like even protein. They say like beans and stuff. I haven't had much protein actually. Leafy vegetables. I'm like even taking Metamucil to like make sure my stool is soft. I mean, I'm doing what I can. The antibiotics after the surgery that I took, so they released me on Saturday, which they could have done on Friday, but they were waiting for my culture results, which didn't even come out, I think, until Sunday or even Monday. Like some of it came out Sunday, some of it came out Monday. So I was in the hospital an extra day, and you know, I just paid for the emergency room copay, but then I actually think I'm gonna get billed for the hospital stay. Even with insurance, I think with my insurance, the hospital stay is $500 a day. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I stayed an extra day waiting on results when I could have gone home earlier. Like they wanted me to stay, so I was like, fine, I'll stay. It'll be better. That's what they said. And yet they still discharged me on Saturday without the results. So it's just kind of like, so many things that are frustrating. And on top of that, this wound, it's just open, you know. This whole thing's like, I have an open wound next to my butt. It's almost like the worst location ever because I can't see it. I can't even sit down right. Like, I'm sitting on a donut that I borrowed from my boyfriend's mom. Like, everything about this is just not cool. But basically what I want to say is, trust your instincts, you know. Of course you want the doctor to be right, and I'm pretty sure my surgeon is a good surgeon, but he just did not care for me properly. He really underestimated my skin infection, and then no one knows why I got the skin infection. I'm like really annoyed. You know, people are like, oh, is the hospital equipment clean? How could you have gotten skin infection? And they're saying, oh, you know, any wound, any cut, bacteria could get in and give you skin infection. I mean, yeah, but I wasn't given antibiotics after this surgery, like even with all the poking and prodding, but maybe if I was given antibiotics, it wouldn't have become a skin infection. I don't know. So many questions, so many unanswered questions, like because no one knows. But at this point, I'm just waiting for this to heal. I'm so annoyed. You know, they said it's gonna take 1 month to heal, but I'm like, it's already been 10 days and there's been no progress, which kind of shocks me. And I'm like, how long am I gonna have this open wound for? Like, better not be like half a year. I really hope it's gone like within a month of the surgery. That's what everyone said, and everyone's like, oh no, 2 weeks, 1 month. Guess what, guys? 10 days and it looks the same. That's a bad sign. So I mean, my original abscess issue hasn't even been addressed. You know, that's still an issue, and I just ended up getting something that so much greater and worse. And just like the care I have to give it, if I got that fistulotomy, it was gonna be a cut and stitches, like closed. Cuts heal so much faster. Like this thing is literally like open piece of skin. And I'm sorry if I'm grossing you out. I'm grossed out. Everyone I talk to about it is grossed out. That's why we're not doctors. But yeah, my main point is trust your instincts. If you feel like something is wrong, then it is wrong. And then my next point is surgery. If you don't have to get it, don't get it. It should be your last resort. And I really regret not getting the imaging. I should have pushed harder for this imaging. The imaging, regardless of whether it shows something or not, I should have gotten it, you know? Because the probing and the dye, which I don't even know why I got, I didn't even know I was gonna get the dye, but it didn't work, you know? And so it's like, do I even have a fistula? I don't know if I even do. You know, I could have just had recurring abscesses. So, so many questions now, right? And can't even get answers. And this stuff is all like trial and error, you know, which really sucks. Like there's no answer for it. But anyways, so, you know, surgery is a really big deal, and it didn't even occur to me that it is. I mean, I was like really anxious before even my scheduled surgery on the 25th. Like I had to give myself pep talks. I was ready for like, okay, missing work, being in pain, wound maintenance. But then this thing, I mean, it doesn't hurt, which is also kind of weird. Like I have zero feeling in that area. So I'm like, am I even getting blood, like circulation? Like, I mean, and even the tissue around it, like, so a lot of the like the secondary swelling went down, but the original hard part is still there. You know, I still have that even to this day. So I'm like trying to take this one at a time. But, you know, if it's something that you may be going through, or you may have to go through considering surgery, I would really look at every other option first, and then ensure that they're doing their due diligence to really know what the location is, and ensure like that really is the cause for you to need surgery, you know? Because, man, you know, I went in thinking I'm going to get surgery for one thing, and I came out with something totally different, and it's making my life so miserable, you know? My day-to-day activities, it's nothing. Like I'm like walking around just to keep my blood circulating and stuff, but I can't even do like my pure barre classes. I'm kind of hesitant to go hiking. If it's close by, maybe a short trail, maybe I'll do that. But anything that's like highly impactful, I'm like really hesitant on doing. You know, the doctor said I could go back to normal activities, but then my regular physician also said, I saw her 2 days ago, and she said, you know, you should rest the area, like maybe you shouldn't even go to work. And I'm just like, okay, that's like, so two different things being told to me. But anyways, I'm just trying to take it easy and not like aggravate it anymore, I guess. And then I have to do the sitz baths, which are like really difficult to do. I mean, you just sit in warm water, but you know, like getting ready for it, and then having to like wipe down whatever, and then like the gauze, I'm like going through, you know, they're like, oh, don't go through the gauze that much. But it's like every time I have to do a sitz bath, use a bathroom, that gauze is coming off, and I'm putting a new one in. And I mean, I got a good amount from the hospital, but it's like running out, and I'm like, oh, I need to pay for this too. So, I mean, people have asked me, am I going to sue them? I don't think I'm going to go to the point of suing them. I mean, if this thing gets worse, then maybe I will. Like, part of my skin is looking a little dark right now, like the tissue, and I'm like, I'm just hoping that's like an anomaly, and then with the sitz bath it's gonna get better. But if my tissue starts dying, then maybe I will. I'm gonna complain for sure, especially just because lack of care led to the severity of this, and then the urgent care said they're closed. Like, who denies patients? You know, like you take me in, make me wait for 2 hours, and then you say sorry, we were closed. Unacceptable. But anyways, you know, don't take your health for granted. I think that's something that's really easy to do. I sure did. I mean, I'm gonna be 40s coming up pretty soon, but I mean, I could tell that my body is changing and it's not the same. I can't eat the same anymore. You know, I get indigestion more frequently, and then like healing, I don't heal as fast. But really take care of yourself, because your body is gonna naturally age anyway. So you want to be in the best possible condition that you can, because there's just more complications, you know, like if you're overweight, if you're just like unhealthy, it adds to your health complications. So, you know, do what you can, and you could, it's never too late. You could always make a change starting from today, you know, add on extra walk routine into your life, eat a little more healthy. I'm personally going to cut out like GMO foods, and then also some other stuff. But yeah, health is wealth, and I mean, even with insurance, think about how expensive it is. 500 a day, and some of you may be like, that's really expensive. Some of you may be like, oh, that's nothing. But because you hear of hospital bills being like, 20,000, 30,000, and yeah, I could totally see that without it being insurance, without having insurance. So I mean, my insurance is, I think, one of maybe like the worst ones. Because I think some other people will probably pay less for inpatient care, but mine is 500 a day, which I'm going to argue because I don't think this is my fault. And we'll see. We'll see where we get. It's not something that I can't pay for, but I truly feel like this is not my fault. But anyways, yeah, this is my story, and I hope this does not happen to anyone. If you have skin infection, I've never had that either. I've never had that in my life. So skin infection, your skin is infected, it's caused by a bacteria. You'll have redness, inflammation, and then the redness will grow. So the best thing to do is mark your initial redness and then see the progress. But really you should see a doctor when that happens, because you need the antibiotics to fight that bacteria. And if you're strong enough, and if it's small, maybe your body can fight it off. But if it gets bigger, the risk is that the infection could reach into your bloodstream, and that's really bad. That's what I was actually really afraid of, and I may have been close to it. If I didn't go to the hospital, I think that would have happened to me. I don't think they found it in my blood, but it could have happened easily overnight or the next day. And I was already so out of it. So yeah, get help if this happens to you, if you get skin infection. But as far as what happened to me in that area, I wish that upon no one. So yeah, I'm gonna continue this journey of trying to heal. Pray for me. Thank you.